Hello, and welcome to the Autism in Black podcast. I'm your host, Maria Davis-Pierre, licensed mental health counselor and the CEO and founder of Autism in Black. Today's guest is Elise Horne, who is the co-founder and executive director of Together We Thrive Disabilities Foundation, a nonprofit rooted in community care and dedicated to supporting families of children and adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. As a Black mother raising an autistic child, Elise brings deep lived experience, compassion, and clarity to everything she does. Through free caregiver support groups, educational workshops, and community events, Elise creates spaces where families feel seen, supported, and reminded that they're not alone. Her work is grounded in breaking down stigma, advancing equity, and making room for healing and joy in the Black disability community. And her voice is one this conversation truly needs. So enjoy today's episode with Elise. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Autism in Black show. I'm very excited about today's guest. Today we have Elise joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you doing today? Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I am so happy to be having this conversation with you, and I want to get right into it. So, for our listeners, can you share, kind of who you are in your own words and what first led you to really building spaces of support and connection for families in the disability community?
Yes, absolutely. So, again, my name is Elise Horne, and I have two sons, and I have a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old. My 5-year-old, he is typically developing, and my 10-year-old is my son on the spectrum, and he was diagnosed at 2 years old. We saw a couple of signs leading up to his diagnosis. I would say that I didn't see the signs. This was my first child. I didn't see the signs. I didn't really know that it was anything different because this is my first child. However, my mom, who's an educator, noticed some signs, and at first, I was in denial. And I also had other people in my ear saying, "Oh, he's too young. You don't know just yet. It's too early to say."
Mhm.
But when he wasn't meeting his milestones at his checkups, that really started to kind of raise some concerns
Yeah.
with the pediatrician, and the pediatrician just he recommended that we go see a psychiatrist for a diagnosis. And it was like immediately when he said that to me, it's like something shifted in
Mhm.
me where it became less about me
Mhm.
and more about my child and what I could do in order to help him and make sure that he is as successful and independent
Mhm.
as humanly possible. So we took him, and he received the diagnosis, and we hit the ground running from there, putting him into intervention services here in the county. And he's been in all types of therapy, still is. And I am so happy that we did that because he is thriving. And so this really did, that process was very isolating because I didn't know anyone else who was going through what I was going through. I didn't have any family members at the time that I knew of who had children on the spectrum, or friends. And it was very isolating as we were trying to navigate this by myself. So thank goodness, I had a supportive husband, but not everybody has that. So fast forward to the pandemic. There used to be an autism support group here in Charles County, Maryland, for parents who have children on the spectrum, and it dissolved around that time. So there was a gap, there was a void there. And I happened to meet up with a friend of mine who is the co founder of our support group. And we sat down and we were just sharing experiences and how we both have children on the spectrum, and how there is a need here in the county for
Mhm.
that support.
Mhm.
in a place to be able to build that tribe and that support system so that no one would have to go it alone if we could help it. And so that's where the Charles County Autism and Developmental Disabilities Parent Support Group came about.
Nice. I love that because it can be feeling like you're in a silo at times and feel so isolating, especially when those who are in your inner circle aren't relating, don't understand, and it can feel like you're not understanding quite what I'm going through and how this is different for me. Like I can't just say, oh, we're going to dinner at 7 o'clock today. There's some things that have to be in place before I can just do those things. So it can feel isolating. So that community is so important, and it's like really the foundation of everything we do here in Autism Black is fueling that community and having those spaces. And I know showing up one as a Black woman, a Black mother who's raising an autistic child, add in being a nonprofit leader, community advocate. How do those different identities intersect for you, and then how do they shape the way you lead with intention in care?
Oh my goodness. Wow, what a great question. Wow. Wow, they definitely intersect because this is my lived experience
Mm,
and just it drives my passion. It fuels my passion and my need to not only advocate for individuals with disabilities in my community and their families, but to also make sure to try to provide some support for them. Now it all intersects because I, like I said, lived experience.
yeah.
I've been through it, so I know what that journey is like when you're alone and going through it alone. And it just also fuels our work as in our nonprofit, Together We Thrive Disabilities Foundation Inc. It just drives everything that we do because it is ran by parents who get it,
Yeah.
who have the lived experience, who know what it's like caring for a loved one on the spectrum.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. I know it's sounding like our stories are similar in that it what our lived experience was led us to create the organizations that now help others. And I know that for me, a lot of it in building what we have, and then for you, maybe building this support group and building your foundation, it comes from both pain and purpose. Of having to walk through this journey and knowing that we wish that a lot of times this is what we had, and that pain leads to that purpose. What were some of the earlier challenges that you faced when creating and sustaining this space, and what really kept you rooted in the work, even when it felt heavy?
Mm. Yeah, so initially it seemed like a huge undertaking
Mm,
because it was something that my co-founder and we were creating from scratch. So it was kind of like, where do we even begin? How do we even reach? How do we even know who to reach or how to reach them, you know? And so it was a little challenging in the beginning, just figuring out, okay, what is our mission? What is our vision?
mhm,
Who are we trying to help here? How are we going to even help them?
mhm,
So I think the biggest, and it's the truth, the biggest hurdle was funds.
mhm,
Actually, it was funds because our vision, ever since our nonprofit and our support group's conception, was to not have to charge any of the families for any of the events because we also host family fun events. We host mom's night out, dad's night out, just safe places where our families can get together and further strengthen their bond and the support system in their village, and for our children to make friends in a non-bullying, safe space. But it's been very challenging because we don't want to charge families, as you know, who are having to pay pay for all types of therapies and special equipment and adaptive equipment, all types of things. It is very expensive. It can be very, very expensive. And the last thing that we want to do is charge our families for any type of workshops or anything like that. So to be honest, that was just something that was a hurdle for us. So we were trying to find funding from other nonprofit organizations. This is before we became a nonprofit. We were looking for funding from other nonprofit organizations, any type of donors, anything like that, and it was very helpful. But then we were like, you know what? We really need to become our own 501(c)(3) because we want to be able to bring in these funds to help these families ourselves and not be dependent and reliant on other organizations, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. So that was one of the biggest hurdles. But what keeps us going is I can't even I can't even put into words the feeling, the joy, the that we get from helping these families. When we get to help these families, when we have our monthly support groups, our virtual support groups, and we get to speak to these families, and these families are pouring their hearts out to us, and we are problem solving in real time. We are
Mhm.
resource sharing in real time. We are supporting each other in real time. That is what drives us and keeps us going. And it's a wonderful mission that God has given us, and we are so proud to be able to do this for our community.
I love that. And I can relate. I think our biggest, well, not I think, I know our biggest hurdle is always the funding because the need is always there for our communities. When we're looking for supports and resources, the need is there, and the funding to actually bridge that gap for the need is always one of the big hurdles. So those for those listening, if you know funders and you reach out because we need the funding.
Yes. Yes.
But I know that for many parents, for many caregivers, that feeling of isolation that you talked about, especially within systems that don't always center Black families, from your experience, what shifts when caregivers find a space where they feel seen, where they feel understood, and there's no judgment in those spaces?
Oh, wow. It definitely makes all the difference.
Mhm.
And I've been told that by some of the parents that it does make all the difference when you don't feel like you're being judged.
Mhm.
You like we all have bad days,
Yeah.
all of us, and it's human and it's okay. Some people unfortunately are made to feel demonized for having feelings of just I'm having a bad day, I'm struggling, like this is hard for me today. So you have that, and then you also have parents who are saying I feel listened in this group, I feel listened to, I feel heard.
Mhm.
Where a lot of times they're letting me know, hey, I'm in IEP meetings and I do not feel like they're listening to a word that I'm saying.
Mhm.
I don't feel heard, I don't feel seen, I feel dismissed. um and I also am made to feel, like I'm crazy or like I'm dumb or something. Like I don't see what's going on with my own two eyes. So, it's so important to have a space
Yes.
where families are felt heard and
Mhm.
seen and understood, and there's no judgment. And we always lead with every support group meeting, we let them know that this is a safe space.
Mhm.
What is
Mhm.
said here stays here, it doesn't go out of here. And just know that there's no judgment here, so we don't pass judgment, and we can just be real and we could
Yeah.
just be ourselves, and that's very, very important.
It is. I because that's one of the driving forces with what we do, and knowing that people, because people on social media, they'll make you feel so bad for being like, "Ugh, my kid is really, really pushing it today. It's a hard
Yes.
day over here today," and I'm like,
Yes.
"Oh, no, you're not supposed to have that. You're not supposed to feel that. No, this is real life. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I love my children. I love being their mother, but there are days when it's hard. add just parenting in general, then add in working with a disability, and then working with the systems that do not care that they have a disability, that we have a disability, and it gets hard. Not every day is going to be peaches and creams and rainbows and butterflies over here. It's some real stuff. And
Yes.
being a neurodivergent parent myself, my children often trigger me with their own sensory needs as a trigger to mine, and we have to
Right.
figure that stuff out.
Yes.
When you
Yes.
allow the space for people to say what they're feeling, for me, that means that, oh, they get to express it. They don't have to hold it in, and then one day something happens and then it just pops off, and then things go in a way that they shouldn't. Allowing people the space to be like, this is a real moment that happened for me, in a
Hmm.
non-judgment zone, and others be like, I'm feeling it too, makes you feel, okay, I'm not the only one that's going through this. I'm not the only one who's feeling, I'm not a bad parent, because this is obviously
Yes.
normal. And I think when
Yes.
we have those types of conversations and make it real, it's actually much better for our children, because now we're not feeling like, oh my God, I'm doing this wrong because I'm having this feeling. No, now I have people I can relate to and talk to about this.
Absolutely. 1,000%. A
Hmm.
1,000%. And definitely that piece that you were just talking about not feeling alone, not feeling like you're the only person in the world
Hmm.
going through this, because it's easy to feel that way,
Hmm. Hmm.
but there is power in just being able to say, hey, this is what's going on right now, and another parent saying, oh, I may not be going through that right now, but guess what? When my child was your child's age, we were
Yes.
going through some similar things. Oh, really? So what did what did you do in order to help with that situation? So that leads to, more conversation about,
Yes.
like, so what did you do? What worked? Not saying that what worked for one child is going to work for another child, but at least you feel like you're getting some sort of guidance,
Yes. Hmm.
and it's not just someone listening and being like, oh, I'm so sorry, that sounds terrible,
Hmm.
and then leaving it there, so I absolutely agree with everything that you just said.
Love that. And then beyond emotional support, what practical benefits have you seen come from families being connected to a support group, whether it's access to resources, advocacy knowledge, or, just the simple relief of not feeling like you're carrying it alone, because that alone is worth everything. So, what have you seen?
So we also offer workshops, free workshops, where we have special guests come and speak on various topics. We had someone for last year. We had someone on speaking about the ABLE accounts, Maryland ABLE accounts. We had someone speaking about next gen 911 in Maryland service. There are a lot of different topics that we ask for special guests to come and speak about, and they're always free. So that is some of the resources that we offer, is through education, just educating our parents about what's out there. My husband has kind of, he works in IT, and he kind of has turned our house into like a smart home, if you will, because of our son. And it's like he's put things around the house that have really helped us in the home. So he even gave like a presentation about how to put certain things inside your house, certain tech to help you in your everyday life. So besides that, we also offer resources on our Facebook page. So our Facebook page, let me tell you, our Facebook community, our families, our parents, they are amazing. We have almost 800 members, and
Nice.
they will go on there and they will ask questions. We give them the option to ask questions anonymously if they don't feel comfortable, and
Hmm.
then the other parents just jump in. Like we don't have to do anything. They just come in and say, "Oh, hey, I've been through this," or "Here's an suggestion," or "Here's some resources." It's absolutely amazing. So there's a lot of resource sharing on our Facebook page as well.
I love that. I'm gonna have to connect with your husband about some
Yes.
tech stuff, because we are a very
Yes.
techy family. So love I love anything that's gonna help with convenience around here. So, you know, um,
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have to connect, and we have it on video as proof here. So when I reach out, they act like they don't know me, y'all. I'm coming back on here.
Yes, you have proof, right?
I do. And then for our parents who feel hesitant or unsure about joining a support group, what would you want them to know about the healing, the strength, all of that empowerment that can come from community?
Oh my goodness, that's such a great question because I've had family members come to me over the years and say, "Hey, what you're doing is great, and I really feel like my family member so and so would greatly benefit from being a part of a support group." However,
Mhm.
they're in denial.
Mm,
They don't want to they feel like if they go seek help
mm,
that it is admission of some sort of diagnosis that the child hasn't even gotten yet. You hear that a lot. You hear like I don't want to be judged for my
mhm.
feelings. You have it all together. I hear that too. You have it all, which I don't, by the way, which I do not, for the record, have it all down. By the way, you seem like you have it all down, and I just don't feel like I can measure up or any of this kind of stuff. And I say, hold on, no, that's not what this space is about. We are not comparing each other
Ooh,
or our parenting skills to each other. That's not what this space is about, number one. And number two, we are all here to learn from each other. I
mm,
learn so much from these parents all the time. I don't know it all. And I'm proud to say that when we have our meetings or if I'm on our Facebook group, I'm learning so much from them. There's something that we can always learn from each other if we just allow ourselves to be a little vulnerable. And you don't even have to be that vulnerable because we also let our members know when they join our support group meetings that you can say as much or as little as you're comfortable with. You can sit there the whole time with your camera off and your
mm.
mic off the whole time and just listen.
Yes.
You don't have to say a word. You don't even have to introduce yourself. Like that's how much we value making our members feel comfortable. That's the first and foremost. We want you to feel comfortable. So you do not have to do anything that you don't feel like you want to do or say anything that you don't want to say or feel comfortable saying. So that's what I would tell everybody, especially for my support group, that everyone is welcome at whatever stage that you're in your journey. Everyone's welcome.
Mm.
And just know that you will not be judged. In fact, you'll be loved on by everyone that's in there. We have some amazing folks, I'm telling you, that come to our support group and they are very caring and loving and empathetic.
Mhm.
That's what I would say.
I love that. And I know one question these all my listeners going to ask is this only for the DMV area, or are you serving those outside the DMV, or what's the answer for that one?
Wonderful question. So the answer in short is that it's for everybody because we have virtual support group meetings.
Perfect.
So although we're called Charles County
Hmm.
Autism, and group, we also like to invite anyone from anywhere to
Hmm.
join our virtual meetings because a lot of the topics that we're talking about
Hmm.
um, is universal.
Right.
Our topics are universal. The struggles that some parents are going through, I mean, it doesn't matter where you live, you
Yeah.
know, it doesn't matter what color you are, what race you are, what religion you are, what sex you are, and what political affiliation that you have. We all could benefit from a virtual support group, in my opinion. So everyone is more than welcome, and everyone's more than welcome to join our Facebook group as well, because they will also find some more resources on there.
Perfect. And as we wrap up, I know the people are going to want to know how they can connect with the Together We Thrive Disabilities Foundation, how they can get with the support group. Can you share those links with us? And then we'll also have it linked in our show notes so you guys can easily click on it. But the name of the Facebook group, any social media pages, and the names of those.
Absolutely. So, our website is probably the easiest way to get all this information, and that's Together We Thrive MD, as in Maryland, .org. Again, that's Together We Thrive MD.org. And when you go to the website, you'll see a tab on the very top that says Charles County Support Group. And you just click on that, and it'll give you the link to our Facebook page as well. And any type of events that we have, we'll always post it on there. But if someone does not have Facebook,
Hmm.
they can email us and we can put them on our email list, and we will send them the links to our monthly support group meeting. So that's the easiest and fastest way to get in contact with us.
Perfect. And if you look in the show notes, you'll see that website right there that you can click on and get connected with Elise. Elise, thank you so much for joining us for this podcast episode. I know that one, it resonated with me a lot, and I know a lot of listeners it will as well, because we know that community is such a foundational piece, and knowing we're not going through something alone, just makes it better for us. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening to another episode, and we will catch you on the next episode.